Hello everyone, welcome to this video. What I'd like to go over today is how to use Python Flask to install and build websites. So let's begin. So Python Flask is a micro framework or a very small framework that you can use for building websites. You can use for putting on online applications, websites, or anything of a larger scale, like full-blown website with usernames, passwords, and logins, and things like that. Python Flask is very good for doing that, for making stuff that's very quick and easy, and just throwing stuff up. You can use Python Flask on just about any operating system, whether it's Windows, Mac, or Linux. Python also comes with its own web server, so you'll be able to use that for putting up your applications very quickly. So let's go over some of the things that let's go over the things that you're gonna need for building Python Flask websites. Obviously, if you don't already, you're going to need Python installed on your system. If you have a Linux or Unix or Mac machine, you should already have it installed. If you have a Windows machine, you're going to need to go ahead and install that Python. So to check out to see if you already have it, you're going to open up your terminal or command line, and you're going to type in Python 3 space and then tac and then version, and then press enter. As you can see, I already have it installed. If you do not already have it installed, for our Windows users, you'll need to go to python.org and install Python from there. When you install it from there, it'll install both Python and Pip. Pip, which is the Python package manager that will install a lot of the modules that we need. Just make sure you have that installed, or include that when you install Python. There's a little box that you can choose. I will include both python.org and the instructions for how to install Python and Pip on a Windows machine. So other than that, let's see here. We're going to need to install Python Pip, which does not come natively on Linux or Unix or Mac machines. You want to go ahead and install that with your package manager. Right now, for today, I'm using Ubuntu Server 20.04, and to install that, I would just go, let's see, sudo at install space and then Python 3 space PYPI. That's how you would install Pip. I already have it installed, so it's going to say that. And then the next thing you want to install is either VNV or virtual ENV, so that you can create a virtual environment for your website. The reason for installing a virtual or putting your website into a virtual environment is so that if you want to use more than or build more than one website, you'll want to go ahead and put it in its own container. That's usually a common practice for because you're not going to want to install all of the applications from the global environment into your website. For your website, you might just want only one or two applications. Plus, if somebody else is working with it on you, they can just use those applications locally as opposed to globally. And we'll go over that later so you can understand exactly what I'm talking about. But to install that environment, you would do on Linux Ubuntu server, you would do sudo apt install and then Python 3 space VNV. I'm using VNV for my virtual environment. You can use either VNV or you can use virtual env. And then you just press enter, but once again I already have this installed. Okay. To install virtual env, that's very simple. Once you have pip installed, you just do a PYPI3, and I have to do a PYPI3 because I have Python version 2 installed as well as version 3.8. So I just want to make sure that it has it specifically installed. But I'm told that you don't really need to use the number 3, but I do it anyway just to make sure. And so to install virtual or virtual env, once you have pip installed, you would do a PIP install and then just virtual env. And that will go ahead and install that if you want to use that as your virtual environment. And so I do not want to install that. I'm using VNV. Okay, and like I said, when you install Flask, and we'll install Flask with the PYP3 command. All right, and that's just going to be a PYP3 space install and then Flask. All right, I already have that installed, I believe. Let's go ahead and press enter. Already set, yeah, it's already been installed. And so let's go ahead and clear the screen. And then if you want to see what version you have, you just do a PYP3 space show and then Flask. And that shows you the information about your Flask and all that. Alright, so once we do all that, we'll be ready to begin. Let's see here. Alright, and so what I normally do, and there are many ways of starting a project for your website. What I normally do is I just go ahead and I pick a place. I'll do it right here in my home directory. So you just go ahead and we're going to make a project and we'll just call it website. So for me, the command will be mkdir space and then just website, right? And then press enter. Then do a ls to list what you have. And as you can see, we got a folder for the website right there. Alright, and then we just go ahead and clear that. And then from there, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and create a virtual environment, right? And so to create a virtual environment with VNV, what we do is we do a Python 3 space and then a -m flag for module. And then we do a VNV space and then that folder and press enter. Alright, and so then after that we need to activate the virtual environment. And so to activate it, we go source space and then the project we want to activate, which is website, and then bin for bin, and then we type in activate, and then we press enter. Alright, so now you know that this our project is in a virtual environment because you see it right here. That's an indication that that it is now in a virtual environment with VNV. Now that we've done that, we can do a PYPI3 and then list, and you should see that there's hardly anything installed. Let's see. Very little is installed, right? So the first thing that we want to install, the one thing that we want to install is going to be Flask. And so again, like I said earlier, you just use the pip command. That's going to be PYPI3 space install space and then Flask. Alright, and then press enter. Alright, so it's successfully installed. And to check and see if it installed, what you can do is you can go to the Python idle environment or the repo environment. And the way you do that, or the way I do it, is I just type in Python 3, right? And then just press enter. Alright, now as you can see, I have Python installed right here. That's, well, we already went over that, but that just shows right here that we're in the Python idle environment. Okay, and then what you want to do is you want to do a test by importing that that module, which is Flask, and you just do a import space and then Flask. All right, if you don't come up with any error messages, then you installed it correctly. And here's how we know that. Watch, I'm going to try and install a module that doesn't exist. Let's do a import, and then we'll put in MXI. Alright, see, no module named MXI. Alright, so we have installed that. I'll just go ahead and clear the screen by doing on my keyboard I do a Control L, right? And then to get out of it, either you can type in exit and then parentheses, or on your keyboard you can do a Control D as in Delta, and that puts you out. Okay, well, that's good. That's a very good start. So we're going to go ahead and stop right here, and in our next video we'll go over how to actually put in and start using some files to build our website. So thank you very much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, and you have a good day.